What is up, everybody? My name is Bobby. I do music, and today we are checking out the 2CP module from Synergy. This, of course, is based on the good old Mesa Boogie Mark 2C Plus, most famously used probably by Metallica on, I believe, at least the Master Puppets album, and I think up to and including the Black album. Metallica historians check me and tell me how dumb I am for getting that wrong. Anyway, I really wanted this. I'm a huge Metallica fan, and I'm also a Dream Theater fan, so we busted out the 7-string today. This guy has DiMarzio, not deactivators, Crunch Lab and Liquefier, the old John Petrucci signatures in them. So when this came out a couple years ago, I jumped on it immediately, like ordered it. Like I saw, I want to say like Leon Todd's video on it, and I was like, I need it. So I bought it, and I rush ordered it and had it the next day, and learned some things. So things I already knew going into it. How to dial in a Mark series amp for tone, which we'll get into. And then also, at least this iteration of it, they say it doesn't need a boost. It doesn't need a boost. Well, it depends on what you're doing. It might need a boost. But we'll get into that. You can still get it pretty tight and gainy. So, yeah. Well, yeah, let's jump into it. So, sorry, vapor lock there on the brain. Yay, ADHD. So we've got two channels, and the gains for each channel, the gain for channel 1 cascades into the gain for channel 2. And I'll show you how that kind of works, and how you can, if you're considering getting one or you have one, things to look for on the cascading gain thing as far as getting the tone you want. We've got bright and shift switches for each one that change, of course, adds brightness and change sort of the mid-range characteristics of it. On the original amp, these were pull knobs, and now they're switches. And then we've got on top treble and middle, and then on bottom we got bass and then presence control. And then we've got the 5-band EQ, which of course the Mark IIc Plus had, and then independent volume outputs for them. So we're going to start on the clean channel. And because of the way this is set up with the shared EQ, you kind of have to find, if you want to use both channels in some sort of scenario, switching back and forth, you kind of have to find a balance between the two. That's not generally how I run it, but it is something you have to consider. The way a Mark amp works is you've got, yes, the overall the overall input gain here on the green channel, for instance, but then the bass, middle, and treble are also before the gain staging. So let's presence off and then have the EQ at noon, and we've got the graphic EQ out. So here's what we got on a bridge humbucker with this sound. So it's kind of dark and woolly. What you need to do is shape how the gain is being hit, how the saturation is being hit. So if I roll off the bass, which is one of the most common things to do, not only did we lose the low end, but it's also not distorting down in the low end. It's cleaning up. This will become a lot more obvious when we get to the red channel. But so we'll lean out the low end. Actually, we've got shift on too. Let's take that out. Neck pickup out of phase, or no, parallel. So you can hear it's affecting the gain staging and the voicing in a way that's not typical of your regular bass, middle, and treble on any other amplifier where that comes after the saturation stages. If you really want to hone in on that sort of thing, like get the staging right, the sort of gain characteristic, you use the 5-band EQ after the fact. That is post-gain, and that's how you actually shape the tone. But we're going to leave that alone because I have the 5-band set where I like it, and it's touchy, it's small, and you kind of have to like roll your finger into the little sliders. But with the clean channel, let's roll that way back. So you get these sparkly cleans. I was originally, when I was behind the scenes planning on doing this video about a month ago, I was, loading up all the like, okay, I'm going to do a video on this and then this and then this. And I was originally only pretty much going to focus on the gain channel, and that's where most of our time is going to be spent. But I started using the clean channel for these sort of 80s pop clean sort of thing. So what I'm actually going to do is on my, really quick, on my Torpedo Live, I'm going to take the speaker out. So we just have direct. Very plasticky kind of thing. This is just for my own fun, but I'm going to put a longer delay in reverb, and then I've got a Boss Dimension C and an Eventide micro pitch. And now that kind of Dan Huff sort of. Won't get a copyright strike for that. But yeah, so I've been kind of using it for, turn all this stereo goo off. There we go. Back to just the regular. I've been using it for that sort of thing here in the studio. I've got an artist, local guy I've been working with, who's into that sort of 1975, 80s throwback sort of thing. And having that, along with the other clean modules I've got, that's been super fun. But yeah, so we get clean, and whoa! Let's bring the speaker cabinet back in there. And you can get it up to kind of, crunchy. Take the treble out, you'll hear. We bring the treble back, we get more gain. So that's kind of the philosophy behind dialing in a tone there. And if we hit the bright switch, I'll show you what that sounds like. Super subtle bright switch. It's a little bit more obvious with the gain down. And then we'll hit the shift switch. And that pushes our mids a little bit more. Now, get those super thick, almost woolly kind of Santana tones. Maybe throw a little bit more treble in there. But we're all here for the lead channel. So you hear that low end isn't very tight. If we roll the bass off, now we're getting somewhere. Now, like I mentioned before, we have to keep in mind the cascading gain here. So one way I'm going to show this to you is if I run channel 1 at noon and the lead channel at 3 o'clock, and then reverse those two, so the bottom channel's at 3 and the top channel's at noon, you'll hear a difference, particularly in the low end, the tightness sort of thing. So here's channel 1 at noon, channel 2 at 3. Flip those. Now listen in the bottom end. 3. It's not quite as tight. So I tend to run tend to run the bottom channel, if I'm going for gain anyway, like a heavy tone, I tend to run the bottom channel as high as I can get away with it without it starting to flub out. And then usually just crank channel 2, but yeah, so we roll off the bottom end, we stage the two gains together, and then basically the treble has a lot to do with your gain too. If I roll the treble back, now it's woolly gain. If we want it pokey, and then the mids brings a sort of thickness to it. If I roll those all the way off, that's about as tight as you're gonna get it, with the treble doing all the work, the bass off, and the mids almost all the way off. And again, the bright switch is doing some work too. Pretty subtle there, but it is adding some sizzle. And then shift is going to give us a little bit more gain too. Now you probably noticed I have the EQ on now. The EQ switch we've got out completely, in for both channels, and then auto, which is only for the red channel. Let me show you what it's like without that graphic EQ doing the V, as it were. It gets super boxy and mid forward. That 750, 760, something like that. That control is a lot of the change there, and I think I've got it mostly scooped right now. If you want full master of puppets, drop it completely. Playing it on a 7 string is a little different. And then if you just bring it up a little bit, I don't know how well that's coming across on the camera, but now we're in Dream Theater territory. That's that Mesa Mark thing, that gank, that... I love that. Let's go through the EQ really quick just so you can hear it. This is not going to sound great because I had it dialed in, and we're going to undo that, so... Super boxy on that 750 there, so we'll... 80 hertz is going to be a lot of thump if I take it out. Tend to leave that about neutral, maybe slightly below. Set 240 is this kind of weird mud thing. Like you can lean it out completely, or it can give you some of the body back, but still just it can be a little much. Any of these can be a little much. So that's when I just try to find a good spot for balance. I don't even know where I had it set before. Maybe a little bit higher than that. That sounds reasonable. And then we already did 750, so 220 is going to be a lot of like the crunch and like intelligibility. If I knock it out. And then, what is that last one? 6600. That's going to be a lot of, like, sizzle. Nothing. Too much. Straight to jail. Now, I find that's pretty good and tight for, like, thrashier sorts of things, like the sort of... When you get into lower tune stuff, it starts to... Like, it's not bad, but I want more attack and more, like, life out of it. I keep coming back to it for the higher gain stuff. I love the Horizon Devices Precision Drive for this sort of thing because it just punches this amp straight in the face. We're going to get more of that metallic, not Metallica, but that sort of string scrape. We're going to get more of that. Hit it. And now we're kind of spiky. We bring back some of the mids. Kind of rebalance those two. That's the stuff right there. I love that. And then you take your noise gate and you make it kind of obnoxious. And now you've got your... Take your delay and reverb out. More. So yeah, with a good boost, it'll go full modern, full gent. Get your noise gate going on. Get your thal going on, your Meshuggah or whatever. And yeah, it does it. I love this thing. It's kind of my go-to for heavy rhythm tones, just because it is so naturally tight. And then you hit it with something like a Precision Drive. And did I turn that off? I did. And it just takes it over the top, but it's already good on its own. It doesn't necessarily need a boost depending on what you're doing. So, yeah, fantastic module. I love the way they did this. Like I said, you might have to... It is kind of a balancing act between the two channels if you want to run them both and do channel switching for like a live application. But for me in the studio here, man, I tend to just focus mostly on the high gain stuff. I'll use the clean side of it occasionally for that 80s sort of thing, but I've got... You know, the BB side of the Friedman BBBE, BEBB. I've got the Fender ones, so yeah, I've got options there. But yeah, a fantastic addition to my collection. It was one of the ones I was looking most forward to when it first got announced, and yeah, I love it. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. I've been Bobby. You guys have been wonderful. Please like and leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye. No, back on.